at the start of the program, we've got two different individuals passed away that had a lot to do with professional wrestling in their own specific ways. And I get one of them was more of a shock than the other because he was not that old, but Scott Bowden and Joe Pedicino both passed away. Joe, I think, was 70. He'd had a stroke last year and was in bad shape after that. But Scott has been active until just recently on Twitter and doing his podcast. You've been doing some shows with him, or had been in the recent past. And you know, he was a big Memphis wrestling fan and a big Memphis wrestling supporter.
Yeah, very passionate about Memphis wrestling. The reason I started Kentucky Fried Wrestling with Scott was because I was such a fan of his articles. I think he may be the most talented writer for wrestling that I ever read, because he was able to get the excitement and the energy of Memphis wrestling into his articles. And they were packed with history. They were packed with humor. They were just tremendously done. I always wanted him to write a book about Memphis wrestling because I thought it would have been fantastic. And, you know, that passion started at a young age. He was a fan. He was attending shows, famously the show with Mil Mascaras on it in 1979. And then he became a manager. And I think one of the sad things about his career on camera is that it was during a down period for Memphis wrestling, really the last period, because he was great. He was really, really good. I say that he's underrated because I don't think a lot of people either saw or paid attention to that era. But you go back on YouTube and you watch those clips, he's phenomenal. He's kind of like a mix between you and Jimmy Hart. You know, Jimmy Hart in Memphis, not Jimmy Hart in the WWF.
Well, yeah. But that's because he was a fan and he knew what it was supposed to look like, which is the same thing that helped me. I'd seen Jimmy Hart, but I'd also seen Bobby Heenan. And Jimmy Hart had seen all the Tennessee managers beforehand, and Scott had seen, you know, me for a little while, but Jimmy Hart for all of his glory period in Memphis, but just also he was a wrestling fan. He not only knew what it was supposed to look like and sound like, but he kind of knew what to say in some instances. He made Dave Brown flip his fucking wig a couple of different times on live Memphis TV.
That's right.
One time he called Randy Hales a retard, and I thought Dave shit his pants. I saw the tape. I wasn't there.
And apparently he did, by the way, after that segment backstage at WMC, apparently he walked up to Bowden and he said, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. And the reason why we're laughing so hard is because that may have been the first time, and Dave probably would have been almost 60 at that point. That may have been the first time that Dave Brown ever said the word fuck. I don't know that I've ever heard him say it yet to this day. But that's the thing with Scott. He was a fan, and he had known Brian and Kevin Lawler, you know, when he was a kid growing up. And it just, when you were in Memphis wrestling was so mainstream through the 70s and 80s that not only was everybody watching the show and everybody was kind of a fan. When I say everybody, I'm talking about legitimately 60% of the fucking city had working knowledge or was an outright fan of what was going on in Memphis wrestling in those days. And, you know, he grew up watching some of the best and he really loved it. And you're right. He was a tremendous writer also, and did those great columns on his website. And I think that to this day is why I say that Jerry Jarrett could not break his heart and tell him that was not Mil Mascaras. And he made up that Who Shot John story about, you know, how he got Mascaras to do that stretcher job just to not admit that it was either fucking Pepe Lopez or maybe the Mexican Angel in from Nick's territory in Nashville. But I saw Scott. Actually, I never met him back in those days because I wasn't in Memphis, and he was in and out from, you know, 91 through 96. But I don't think he was there when I made, because he had got out of school and he worked there and then he moved away, but he came back for a while, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he was there the few times that I was doing shots there at that time. But at any rate, but we contacted on email here a few years back, and I didn't know his first name was really Travis. So somebody had said, yeah, Travis Bowden told me that he knew you and to get a hold of you and blah, blah, blah. I said, I don't know who this fucking guy is because I knew him as Scott. And then I got the email from Scott like, no, it's me. And I'd seen him down at the Hall of Fame, Memphis Hall of Fame ceremony that Randy Hales had done at Lawler's place on Beale Street. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago now? But anyway, he was like, 48? So
48.
It would have done a lot more great stuff with Memphis wrestling. And I hate to see that.